Today, I'm excited because we are going to be talking about vintage Martin guitars. Now, I promise you, we really are. We're going to tell you exactly what we mean, so stay tuned. Hey, you're watching Alamo Music TV. My name's Chris McKee.
And I'm Cooper Greenberg.
We're here with Alamo Music Center in San Antonio, Texas. You can find us online at alamomusic.com. If you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe, turn on notifications, and like our videos. If you'd like to support the channel, visit our Teespring store link below for our custom designed t-shirts. So today we really are talking about vintage Martin guitars, but probably not in the way most people think. We're going to be talking about a kind of forgotten bit of Martin's past. So what do you have in your lap there, Cooper? That looks like an electric guitar.
This is an electric guitar. This is actually a pre-war Martin, but not the war that we're talking about. This is an EM-18, correct?
It is an EM-18, that is correct. It's a 1981, so it's as old as I am. So
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's cool.
So what is that,
40 years,
oh, yeah,
thanks, wow, yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Dagger to the heart.
I gotta be honest with you, I had never heard of this guitar, did not know that it existed. We were at Guitarlington, and this caught Chris's eye amongst a bunch of actual pre-war Martins, and he's like, well, we gotta get that
I
one.
got giddy. Out of all the stuff that was there, I'm like, that's actually the cool one, and everyone keeps walking by.
It's pretty wild to look at. Pretty cool headstock, showing that logo there, and very 80s, and just tell us what you know about it.
So these actually started in the late 70s, and I might get his name wrong, but I believe the chairman at the time was Herbert Martin. And he was, again, part of the Martin family, taking over. And, if you go to the, I can say this, because if you go to the Martin Museum and you see anything about this period of time, it was a difficult period of time for Martin, because he really tried to expand the company into a lot of different areas. They'd had a ton of success coming out of the 60s during the folk boom, and you enter into the 70s and music started to change. You had disco and rock and stuff coming out, and acoustic guitars weren't doing very well. In fact, Bob Taylor in his book credits Martin's attrition during this period of time with the reason that Taylor and others could actually start. And it's interesting if you look at it, because in the 70s weren't a good time for Fender, they weren't a good time for Martin, they weren't a good time for Gibson, and you had companies like Tom Anderson and Taylor and some others all kind of pop up. Larrabee guitars started around that time. So it's interesting, but what they were trying to do was diversify Martin's offerings with different companies that they were buying, to kind of get into. I think Rogers Drums was one of them at one point. They had, organs. I think it was Lowry organs. It's all sorts of different stuff. And this is part of that. And what this is a solid body electric guitar that, if I recall correctly, came out initially in '76 and ended in '82. So that's a 6-year period
right there.
Yeah. But this is cool. This is the EM-18. There was also an E18. This is the higher end model. And we can go over some of the specs that make this unique, but I love just the aesthetic of this thing. We talked about how it reminds us of some other builds. Our friend Aaron Dablow from Taylor saw this and said it reminded him of the longboard Strat. Do you remember those?
Yeah.
It had this layered body that kind of looked like a
So is that
skateboard.
Technically a, what is that, 9-piece body?
Yeah, I guess so.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
The body is maple and rosewood, which is an interesting combination. It's got some heft to it. We figure it weighs about 10 pounds. We forgot to weigh it, but we've got a Les Paul that weighs about that, and it seems about those.
Love the stamp. That's very cool.
The stamp here is cool. The headstock applique,
right
like you typically see on acoustic Martin. This has been lost to time. I have never seen this on anything else other than this. And this headstock, which basically looks like a pregnant Strat headstock, actually goes back further. So if you look at very early Martins, they followed this Stauffer design, and the headstock was very much this, which Fender then continued to kind of reference in his designs. And really the reason guitar makers were doing this back in the 1800s was it's the scroll of a violin turned sideways to accommodate a different design for the tuning pegs.
It's pretty cool.
So history there, going way back, and definitely part of Martin's history. So very cool logo. The tuners still feel great. It's a mahogany neck. We've talked about the body, so it's maple and rosewood layered.
And so, first of all, frets still feel really good on this guitar, which suggests it has not been played a ton.
You know, we actually missed something. Bring this back down.
Yeah,
so the brass nut, this was everywhere in the 70s. Like all these electric guitar companies were using brass nuts. It was the bee's knees at the time. And yes, to your point, I was so excited when I found this because I've seen some before and they're usually beat up.
Yeah.
And the pickups have been changed. What you typically see, there's not very many of these. Again, I think less than 1,500 altogether. Between the E-18 and the EM-18 were made. About 1,300 of them were EM-18s. So not a whole lot. This is extremely rare. And most of the time they're really beat up. The pickups have been changed out. They're just not good kind of references to what they originally were.
Yeah.
And this is like new.
Yeah, it's crazy. And so there's the E-18, this is the EM-18. I don't know a ton about these pickups. I don't know a ton about Mighty Mites. So give us the scoop because obviously M is to denote that they're Mighty Mite pickups.
It's actually not.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I'm serious. So this was available with either DiMarzios or Mighty Mites. These are Mighty Mites, which are fantastic pickups made in the U.S. Company still around. They make very cool, very flexible humbucker design pickups. No, the M on the EM-18 actually had to do with the switching capabilities, which was the upgrade on this.
Really?
Yeah, and I have to show what we have here. This is the case behind us, which definitely looks late 70s, early 80s. The inside is a wonderful plush puke green color or avocado green.
Something like that.
My in-laws back in the day had an old RV with shag avocado green carpet. That was for the era.
That's good for me.
But we also have the original paperwork, and you got to love the 80s. This was your original paperwork that you got with it. So this is the limited warranty from Martin, 510 Sycamore Street, Nazareth, PA. Talks about all of that. And then this is how the controls work. So you've got your typical layout, right? You got your two volumes, you've got your two tones, you've got two humbucking pickups, and you've got a three-way selector switch in the same location that you would have it in a Les Paul. And then you've got these two switches down here on the M model.
Yeah.
And this, well, you talk through it. You've played it.
So I got to play this guitar. Spoiler alert, it sounds really good.
It sounds really good.
So basically, you're working with your toggle here, rhythm, both, and then treble, or bridge, neck, both, and then bridge. This first one that's closest to the pickups right here is a three-way toggle, which splits the coils. So
of one pickup at a time.
So if you are in the topmost position, you take out the outside coil of the neck humbucker. If you're in the middle, you're doing no splitting at all. And then if you're at the bottom position, it takes out the outer pickup within the bridge.
This is exactly what this says. Did you read this?
It's just crazy.
Wow.
We did.
Spot on.
We didn't cheat. We figured that out by listening to it. All right. So it's limited splitting capabilities. You can't split them both at the same time,
right?
Which is fine. But they sound great both ways. And then the other switch is just an up and down, A or B, in phase, out of phase switch when you're in the middle position.
Yeah.
Which sounds pretty good too. I
mean, and it works with either coil tap.
Yeah. So you'll see in the demo, there's a lot of switching, a lot of stuff going on to change. You can hear all of the positions of pickups split or not, and then all of them with out of phase as well.
Cool. So
sounds good.
That's an explanation of how it works. We've already said we think it sounds amazing. Let's let them hear it, shall we?
Let's do it.
Check it out. So there you have it. A very rare, almost mint condition, would you say?
Yeah.
1981 Martin EM-18. And yes, I'm sure a lot of you have never seen these. Now, some of you who are older in the crowd might remember these from marketing and such, but I'm sure most have never played one. And they're awesome. This is an awesome guitar.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
You know, I think it's one of those things, sometimes guitars get introduced, they don't find an audience, or times changed. If you think about where music then went in the 1980s, guitars like Les Pauls and even normal Fenders for the most part fell out of favor for Super Strats, your Kramers and your Charvels and your Jacksons and then Ibanez stuff, and it just, that's kind of what happened. And this was left behind. It also marked a change in what was going on at Martin. So Martin hadn't been doing very well, and they ended up getting rid of a lot of those companies that they had purchased and a lot of those things that they were going into. Spoiler, if you look into Martin's history, there's also cool arch tops that are in there that you never see. Like, I'd like to see them reissue that. I'd like to see them reissue this. Wouldn't that be cool? I mean,
That would be cool.
Electric guitars are definitely popular and that segment's growing. Why not, Martin? Let's see what a new 2023 EM-18 looks like.
We'll get them in 26, though.
Yeah, we'd get them in 2026. Yeah. But no, the very, very cool guitars. It's weighted really nicely. It's solid. It feels and plays great. The pickups sound awesome. And you have some really modern functionality when it comes to the controls.
Yeah.
Guitar ahead of its time, maybe?
I think so. I mean, it's like stuff that we're seeing on high-end electric guitars right now. Think about Gibson Les Paul Modern collection. It has all that same switching stuff. This one has a very distinct, full, rounded, almost acoustic-like tone. We didn't put any overdrive on it.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to hear what it sounds like with it. I'm sure it sounds great, but the clean tone, I think, is just so impressive on this guitar.
Yeah, really nice. And I think the thing that strikes me the most out of this serial number 3042 is, it doesn't look like it's a 40-year-old guitar at all. So very cool, rare thing. As soon as I saw it, I said, we have got to get that. And I talked to the guy who had it in his booth at Guitarlington. I got to tell this story. I kept coming back to him and going like, I really, really want to get that guitar. Can we make a deal? And what we finally ended up on was this agreement. And part of it comes down to who owned this guitar and how special it was to them and how much it kind of represents a part of Martin's history that so many people have forgotten and wanting to get it like represented and that story told correctly. Because I think, they're very cool and there should be appreciation for guitars like this, particularly this one.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
Pretty awesome. Have you ever had a chance to play, see in person, hold anything, or do you remember the marketing from way back when on these Martin solid body electric guitars? I don't, because I was one. So I don't remember. They were discontinued the year after I was born. But I'm glad we had a chance to really get this one and play it and put it through its paces and see how awesome of a guitar it was.
Yep.
So
pretty cool.
So let us know if you're familiar with them at all. I'd like to know your story, if you have one on these, or what you think about Martin doing something like this again. Should they just start whole hog over, or should they bring this back maybe in a really limited series and see how it does? I think that could be very, very cool. So drop us a note in the link below and tell us what you think. If you are new to our channel, make sure you subscribe, turn on notifications, like our videos, and if they want to check us out on Patreon, what should they do?
You got to find the link below in the description. Check us out on Patreon. Become an insider. See a bunch of extra weird stuff from Guitarlington. Some videos of me interviewing Chris, posing as a gamer. Just the stuff that you want to see. Just the good stuff. So, and remember, at the end of the day, the very best guitar in the world is the forgotten electric that's 40 years old. So, thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time.